Hello, my name is Richard Stotman, fellow woodworker and inventor of the Saw-Aid, the Dovetail Template Master, and the new DustSucke&More. The DustSucke&More is my solution to dust collection, router bit storage, and ending of the frustration of misplacing tools at the router table. I will show you the DustSucke&More, point out its features and benefits, and introduce you to some easy to make jigs in your workshop, such as router tables and fences. Before I get started, I wanted to let you know that you can download free plans at my website for all of these jigs. One of the important features of the DustSucke&More is that the lid latches very tightly. The easiest way to open the clear lid is to use two hands like this. To close the lid, push it down with your thumb at the base of the curve. I designed the lid's lock to be tight because I did not want it to open accidentally. The water clear lid not only protects the bits from dust, but also protects you from the sharp cutters. The DustSucke&More safely stores your expensive 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch, and 1/2 inch shaft cutters, and the 8mm bits for our European friends. The storage area is not intended to store every router bit you own, but rather the ones used most often are the ones for your current project. The holes are slightly oversized to make inserting and removing the bits very easy. Bits stored upright and separated are easy to see and do not roll against each other and chip the very expensive brittle carbide edges. The three front pockets store easy to misplace items such as wrenches, rulers, and pencils. I no longer waste time searching for my collet wrench or pencil that I used to sit down somewhere without thinking. The DustSucke&More gives you a very useful small parts tray for such things as collets, Allen wrenches, and bearings. Both 2.5 and 2.25 inch hoses fit the dust port connection. The 2.5 inch connection goes down to the very bottom. The 2.25 inch hose bottoms out at the step. With adapters, you can connect 4 inch or 1.5 inch hoses. The most basic way to use the DustSucke&More is to just place it on the router table where the chips are going. The DustSucke&More's weight keeps the vacuum hose from tipping the tool over. The first time you pick up the DustSucke&More, you will be amazed with the quality of the product. I am so proud of the DustSucke&More, I guarantee it for 5 years. You can use the right front edge of the DustSucke&More as a starter pin after drilling a hole in your router table and positioning the DustSucke&More with a carriage bolt. To locate and drill the hole in your router plate, the first thing to do is to unplug your router. Then you merely set the DustSucke&More where you want to use it. I drill a 1/4 inch hole through the plate. I put 2 nuts on a 1/4 inch carriage bolt as jam nuts and adjust them so that about 3/4 inch of the bolt is below the bottom nut. I stick the carriage bolt assembly through the hole in the right storage pocket and then insert it in the newly drilled router plate hole. The right front edge now functions as a starter pin. The DustSucke&More works great with router fences too. The unique thing is that you do not screw it in place because that would limit the ease of use for the other applications. The weight of the DustSucke&More will hold it in place just fine. Look how easy it is to locate the DustSucke&More in front of your work to catch the chips when cutting a stopped rabbet. Here's the DustSucke&More collecting the chips when joining a board's edge on the router table. See how the carriage bolts merely position the DustSucke&More to catch the chips. This allows you to remove it without tools. Even with more versatile fences, the DustSucke&More is easy to use and to remove. The DustSucke&More is handy with more than just a router table. Cutter storage and dust collection are just as important with power carving as with routing. The DustSucke&More can store 58 1/8 inch and 23 1/4 inch power carving cutters. You can securely store 3/32 of an inch cutters in the covered storage area with a very easy to make insert. You can download free the directions and pattern for the insert from my website. Adjusting the dust port's height from the workbench for maximum dust collection is very easy with riser blocks. Riser blocks are 8.5 inch by 12.5 inch wood or MDF boards. Merely add or remove blocks to get the dust port at a convenient height for maximum dust collection. A very simple to make lap bench with the DustSucke&More screwed down is another very useful accessory for your dust collection. To keep the small cutters from falling out when you carry your lap bench, just insert a foam filler. Random orbital sanders generate a lot of dust even with a built-in collector. To reduce dust even more, I just place the DustSucke&More in front of or beside the random orbital sander to suck away even more of the dust. I also use the adjusting blocks to raise the dust port for wood thicker than 3/4 of an inch. Thank you very much for your interest in the DustSucke&More. If you have any questions for this product or any of my other products, please go to my website and review the FAQ page or the product usage page. If you have any suggestions for additional uses, please contact me. I would greatly appreciate hearing from you. And don't forget, the plans for the jigs and accessories used in this video are available free off my website.